It's brilliant to hear that Kemi Badenoch wants to model herself on Yave Millet. She wants to bring a chainsaw to cut back the British state. Now you know me, you've seen me before. If I were to stand here with a chainsaw, you'd think I was a complete poser. So I asked Sean, and those of you who watch Discovery know Sean well. He's the hero of Gurney Court, and we're going to borrow his chainsaw. Sean, get it going, please. And this is what we need. We need a real chainsaw to be cutting back the British state. Look at how Sean can cut through the logs. The logs get cut down to size with a chainsaw, and the same needs to happen to what the government does. I might ask Sean to turn it off for a moment so you can hear how much waste there is. You can look this up. You can go on to the government website. It's gov.uk, departments, agencies and public bodies. Send in the comments your suggestions for which public bodies can be got rid of. When you look through, there are 609 results found. And I suppose you've got to keep the Prime Minister's office, though you may not think much of the current incumbent. But as you go through, start at the top. Think of which departments you can get rid of. The Department for Business and Trade. Let's just have the Board of Trade to negotiate a few free trade agreements. The Department of Culture, Media and Sport, with 41 bodies beneath it, agencies and public bodies. What do? People play sport without being told to by the government. The Department for Education. Let school children be taught by schools and stop the top-down, heavy intrusion of politicised education that you're getting from Bridget Phillipson. DEFRA, they epitomised the line popularised by Ronald Reagan, I'm here from the government and I'm here to help. The Department for Science, Innovation and Technology. When's the government ever done anything on innovation? We have to keep the Department for Work and Pensions. Department of Health is necessary too. And we'd better have a few diplomats and the Treasury. But there's so much that we can get rid of. Go down, scroll down just a little to the 416 agencies and public bodies. What do they all do? What is the Academy for Social Justice? Active Travel England. The Administration of Radioactive and Substances Advisory Committee. Well, it's clearly important to do something about radioactive substances, but do you really need an advisory committee on that? Or an advisory committee on animal feedstuffs? I would have thought farmers know best what animals need to have. What about the Advisory Committee on the Misuse of Drugs? We've got an Illegal Drugs Act which isn't used. Perhaps we should get on and do something about that. The Agriculture and Horticultural Development Board. I'm still in A, and I haven't yet got down to the Arts Council of England, which spends an awful lot of money on not very good quality art. Your money, taxpayers' money. This is where we need to begin to make savings. The Biometrics and Surveillance Camera Commissioner. What does he do or she do? Who is it? What is it? Why is it? The British Film Institute. Why does that need to be a public body? Film makes a lot of money. There's a huge amount of money in making films and television and all of that. It doesn't need a government-provided institute. The big one, Committee on Climate Change. Get rid of that. Get rid of the Climate Change Act. You save billions. Get rid of the £20 billion that is going to be spent on carbon capture and storage. A complete waste of money. Let's get back instead to drilling for oil and using our natural resources that we've already got. It goes on and on and on. The Dartmoor National Park Authority. I thought that all belonged to the Duchy of Cornwall. Surely they can manage that for free. There are so many bodies. The Electoral Commission. You know, we ran our elections properly for an enormously long time without an election commission. Since it's come along, elections have become more bureaucratic and not any fairer than they used to be. Why don't we get rid of that? Go back to where we were before the Political Parties and Elections Act that Blair brought in, one of Blair's unnecessary changes. The English Institute of Sport, again, another one that could be got rid of. And this list is so long, I obviously can't read them all out. But do, as I say, have a look. See what you would get rid of. UKRI, the UK Research Institute, £20 billion a year you could get rid of. Save the money. Offcom, which now regulates the internet, which is quite unnecessary. You want to have an internet that is a bastion of free speech. Ofcom hates free speech, as we know. It always is looking to try and clamp down on people saying what they think in its lefty view of what due impartiality is. Let's just get rid of it. This is why it's so exciting about what Kemi has said, because what we're talking about is not business as usual. It's finally recognizing that the state is out of control. It does too much, it does it badly. To do this, it taxes us too highly. If we want to get back to a pro-growth, efficient economy, we need the government to spend less. And when we begin to make savings, the savings have to come first of all on that which is wasteful. I'm not saying we won't need to put up the pension age, I think we will. But before we put the pension age up, we need to remove the fat. We can't hit older people who've worked for decades, before we have cut out that which is unnecessary, is OTOs. And that's where looking at these quangos must be the starting point. Can we go as far as Milei? Well, he inherited a situation even worse than ours. Argentina's interesting. I used to look at it as an emerging markets investor. And you go back to the late 19th century, and Argentina has been the economy that is about to do well, is about to revive, and never quite has. It's had a terrible experience of socialism and dictatorship in the post-war period. As late as 1945, Argentina was as well off on a GDP per capita basis as Australia. It then went steadily downhill through mismanagement, misgovernment, several hyperinflations, bankruptcies, defaults on debts. So Argentina was in an even worse state than we're in, though we may be heading there. And I don't think realistically we'll get rid of 30% of the government. Perhaps it'd be nice if we would. But we've got to try somewhere. And what's so impressive about what Kemi is saying is that it shows that there's somebody there at the top who might just, and I hope she means it, have the pith and moment to do it, the impetus, the charisma to get the state back to a reasonable size so that you keep more money in your pocket, so that the pound in your pocket retains its value, so that our 100% debt to GDP ratio declines not through higher taxes, but through economic growth, and that we help companies that want to grow and entrepreneurs who want to invest. Why? Because they keep the fruits of their labour. We can only do that if we get rid of the awful, appalling waste. So, Sean, let me come back to you with your fantastic machine that will cut the state down to size once it's finished providing a few logs for us to burn during the winter to keep the fuel bills down. We're off.